It's like, who wants to be assessor? It's a terrible job. You're associated with taxes. It's like, no, it's like, this is a great job. This is about accountability. This is about transparency. This is a seat of power and service to our community, where it's not only helping finance that community, it's getting all of this data compiled.
Hello, America and the rest of the world. It is Earl. Yes, how are you doing? You guys, I admit it's been a while since I've done an interview with anyone, and I decided to reach out to Andrew Crockett. Now, I have to give you some background. Andrew Crockett and I have known of each other for a while through growth and development courses. And when I found out that he's running for County Assessor's office, I was like, whoa. Let's have a conversation with Andrew and let's talk to him about what is going on in his world. Even I am sometimes like, the assessor's office is responsible for charging me taxes on my property. But I think the assessor's office does more than that. Does it not?
Yes. There's a couple of key things that most people do not know about the assessor's office. That's the number one question I've gotten on the campaign is, what is an assessor? There's no reason why the assessor's office needs to be seen as, the back end of government. It is a center of service. It is a center of power and empowerment for the people of this county or any other county in this state. And that's what I'm standing for. It has two constitutional duties. One, which is to keep track of all the property assessments. And two, it's required to keep track of all of the information on all of the properties in the entire county over which they oversee. The key data of what property is where is it located, what buildings, what improvements, as they're called on the assessment roll, are on those properties. All that data is kept at the assessor's office. So it is the official ledger, using an accounting term, the official record of what exists where in the county. There's a third job in there, which is one that the assessor doesn't tend to talk about much.
A third job?
That third job is public education, making sure that people know and have access to the information that they have available. Currently, if you go to the assessor's office, you go to the front desk, you can ask to meet with an appraiser and they'll sit down and they are required to tell you anything that you need to know about properties that you're looking at. All the public record is available to you. All of the knowledge about what laws apply to what are available to you. You can consult on property taxation issues at the assessor's office for free. It's a public service. And this is something that the assessor's office keeps completely mum, because why would they want to tell people that they can come and get free consultation when, if they stay quiet, it's less of a bother? I could go to the assessor's office and I would be able to request somebody to sit down and review those with me. I say, I'm looking at this property. What would happen if I purchase this property? What are my options if I purchase this property? For instance, if you purchase a property and you're planning to bulldoze it and build a new house on it,
right? What's
interesting is there are some forms you can file that allow them to go, okay, we're not going to reassess the property until the construction is done. That's a waiver to incentivize new construction. There are all of these little tiny things in there, and most folks, they don't know about it, and they don't know that they even have access.
So for you, being a county assessor, if you are successful and elected, you want complete, if I understand you correctly, and please let me know, not only do you want to make sure that the assessor's office does the job as outlined in the Santa Clara County's law and also adhere to California constitutions, but you also want there to be complete transparency and consistency and an establishment of protocol that benefits everybody.
We need to have protocols that are transparent, that benefit everybody, and we need to strive for maximum accuracy. The idea that it's like we're doing this because we've always done it this way is one of the big pitfalls of the current assessor, who's been there since 1995.
Wait a minute, that person has been there since 1995?
Yeah, he was elected in 1994 and he's been in office a quarter of a century. And he's looking for another 4 years in office.
When we do a property valuation, right, we depend upon the county records and public records to determine the cost to rebuild. And so I can't help but wonder how many people's homes are underinsured because the data that we get our hands on is inaccurate. If there was more transparency in the assessor's office and more consistent application of the appraisal process, how would that benefit Santa Clara County?
There's a couple parts to this because you talk about transparency. One of the first things about the assessor's office to make it transparent is to make sure people even know it exists, because that's one of the interesting things about the current assessor is it's like with the courtesy service of, basic consultation on property tax, that is available. It's for free. We pay for it with our tax money, whether income, sales, or property tax. And that's available to you so that you can reconnoiter the situation. But if you don't know that that's available, there's no way you can take advantage of it. And likewise, when it comes to appraisals, there's not a lot of explanation of it's like, why are you doing this way? Like, for instance, I was just out on a neighborhood walk and a new neighbor has moved in. They built a new house. And I was like, oh, welcome to the neighborhood. And they said, yeah, it's like, we just moved in. We got certified from the city of San Jose this week. We're moving in our stuff. And I said, that's great. I'm running for Santa Clara County Assessor. And then he goes into this long explanation of this ordeal with the assessment and appraisal of his property. And it was interesting because I listened to him and I pointed out all of these little pitfalls in the system. And what was going on was, he had to learn from scratch what to expect because he was just expecting it would be a way that, people assume it should be a certain way. And then that expectation was thwarted. And then he had to learn stuff from scratch. And you had the assessor's office actively trying to avoid an appeal of their assessed value. It's like, okay, we made this assessment on your property. It's inconvenient to have you appeal that value because that creates a lot of paperwork on our end. So there was this interesting thing where he was telling me about his interaction with the appraiser who had appraised his property. And it was all of this, rationalization, justification of why it was the way it was without any, indication that, well, if this isn't working for you, we have this process called appeal, which allows it to be looked at by several appraisers to ensure that the value is accurate. That said, you have that right and you should by all means exercise it. This is one of the things I look forward to doing on social media, is doing a whole bunch of little videos talking about these different things the assessor's office does in California. And I hope that not only benefits people here in Santa Clara County, but statewide, because the assessor's office is the most important race no one's ever heard of.
I had no idea that, I don't even know if most of my real estate friends know that, you can go into the assessor's office and request a conversation with an actual appraiser. I don't even know if most of my real estate investor friends even know, that they can do that. Because typically it's kind of like, what it is what it is. But now to hear you say, like, no, you can actually request an actual sit down conversation with an appraiser, I think that makes a huge difference.
I've always been a numbers nerd. It's like, I like structure. I'm a CPA and financial analyst. So the assessor's office, it's a place where that sort of thing is rewarded as a virtue. It's part of the reason why I applied to work there a decade ago. And I worked there for 2 years. And I became a certified appraiser. And it was a place where you had all these brilliant appraisers who knew what they were doing. You had all of these incredible human beings that had honed their craft, and they weren't being trusted by the management. They weren't being empowered in what they were doing. I had to take a bookkeeping course back in 2010 so that I could manage my sole proprietorship. And it introduced me to this very well-defined, rigorous philosophical system called accounting. Lo and behold, I became a CPA. I contemplated putting that on hold when I was hired at the assessor's office. And when I realized that, wait, it's like, this is not a very functional place to be working, getting out from under that was very wise. They showed me the door and I took the opportunity, and I was able to take my units, get all that complete, and get my CPA license. And I was going, man, there's so much untapped potential in that office that all you need is a change of the tone at the top to really unleash it. Since then, it's like, okay, what could the assessor's office be used for? What are the untapped things that we could put to use with this office? What are the things that would make this office shine as a center of service for the community it serves? When I first got hired, I was an office specialist, which is the lowest position that isn't an intern in all of Santa Clara County. I was hired as that to work the mail room at the Santa Clara County Assessor's office. So I opened mail, distributed it, and I also, all the letters that went out to people, I used the big old honking machine and got all those letters folded and packed. And in just the 9 months I was there as an appraiser, favorite part of the job was going up front when somebody called and had questions at the front. I was able to help folks with estate planning. It's like, okay, you fill out these forms to inherit it this way. You do it this way if you want to sell it. And it's like just giving them options. It was so wonderfully gratifying to be of service to people. And one of the things that happened was sometimes I'd be called up and it was a realtor, who was looking for research on a property they were selling. And I was giving them all the information and they said, "You're incredible." Most people, it's like, I've dealt with a lot of appraisers here, and they mostly come up and their main intention is, what do I need to say to make you go away? And I'm there going, okay, what is it this person needs that I can provide them so that they're in the best position to act rationally, to act well on behalf of themselves and the clients they serve? So I was there to be of service. And this resulted in, just over that 9 months, I developed a fan base of realtors who, whenever they came in, they would request me by name.
Why would you give up your job where you're at now? Because once you get elected, I assume this would be full time.
Oh, I would love to be able to do full time this sort of public service, public education, and advocacy for making the system that we have really be fine-tuned to people's benefits. I mean, there's so many great opportunities to have the tax system be transparent in a way that we haven't been able to do so before. Like, here's an example. Now that we have this incredible technology at our fingertips, this data, I'm a financial analyst. Data analyst is my day job. If we wanted to do something where when you paid your taxes, like your property taxes is a block, and then you have all the little parcel taxes and bond measures tacked onto that, that block goes into, a big question mark for most people, a black box. There's no reason for that. We could go, wow, it's like, okay, we've received this person's tax payment. It's $8,000 on this property. And after the fiscal year is completed, we could allocate our budget back to that amount and give you a personalized receipt showing how your money was spent. And this is available to us with modern technology. We couldn't do that type of data analysis when the incumbent was first elected, for example. And the idea that we are trapped in a 20th century model when we have 21st century options is like, there's a lot of amazing opportunities for transparency, for service. And the data around all of the buildings and constructions and property, there are more than 800,000 different parcels in this county of Santa Clara. All the data is there. And that data is currently just sitting there. Take that data, go to all the different municipalities that manage zoning, that manage housing development, and say, okay, what is the data you need? We have all the data. Do you have data you're collecting? Can we make a database that is comprehensive for everyone, rather than having a database for every single different city and a database for the assessor's office? Can we work together to not duplicate our work, but actually make a sterling 21st century database, which has maximum accessibility, not only to the people on the municipal level and on the county level, but transparency for the state level regulators, transparency for any citizen or member of the public who wants to get information? How do we make that happen? And you have to want it, you have to advocate for it, and you have to be willing to invest in it and defend the idea that this is the type of service that we're capable of delivering.
What would the public see you start to do on day one that you take office?
Restoring confidence that the management and the labor in that office are on the same page. Because this is one of the things that is the biggest blockade to making advancements.
So you want to invest in the staff that's already there so that they are more empowered to deliver on that which makes a difference for people and live up to the expectation of the assessor office as it is currently written.
I want to live up to the standards, and I want everyone who works for the assessor's office to know I have their back 100%, and I'm willing to act on that commitment of me recognizing their humanity. Unlike so many other legislative positions where legislators vote on things and then other people implement it, this is one of the rare opportunities in voting period where you get to vote on somebody who isn't going to be just simply writing laws or things like that, but actually acting on managing the community that is this office and making sure that every single person knows that they are a indispensable part of this mechanism, delivers this service, and making sure that they are empowered to speak when they see things that could improve the office, rather than right now where it's like, I don't want to say anything because if you stick your head out, it gets chopped off. Right now, that's the way it is. In my office, I want people to speak, and to do that, trust needs to be there. That is the most important thing to have in that office, because if the labor doesn't trust you and you're trying to automate something, they're thinking you're trying to take their jobs away. You have a leader who treats humans as important. That ends up trickling down to all of the people they serve being seen as important and delivered the service that important people deserve to receive.
And where did you develop this mindset? Is it from your businesses that you've owned?
I have a degree in philosophy and politics, double BA from UC Santa Cruz, go banana slugs. And the wonderful thing about that was it taught me philosophic systems. This is something I care very much about. And when I look at government, I go, it's like, this is here to serve us in the same way that I attempt to serve my people here in America. In the same way, I want to be responsible for the assessor's office, where it's like, this is your home. This is your future on the line. Whether you want to own a business or own a home, this is your home. You have a right to own your home here. You have a right to own your business here. And the assessor's office should have your back in that adventure.
Does the assessor's office play any role in business, in the business environment here in the Bay, in Santa Clara County?
One of the things that attracts me to the assessor's office in terms of what is possible there is, I mentioned that they have this consultation service for the taxation aspect of property. They also have this opportunity where we could partner with credit unions, banks, and other sources of finance and be a comprehensive place where anybody could come there who is like, so many people in this valley have never owned a home before because they come from other nations and cultures where that is not a standard thing. And American culture and America's economy is based on this idea that you build equity in a home during your working years. The assessor's office could be that one-stop shop where people come and can get the lay of the land so that they understand how the system is set up and how we can best serve them in their interests of having a life that is not one of privation, but one that they can enjoy. And one of the big challenges in US politics is it's like with the media and also the difficulty of tracking a vote to a definitive action out in the world. What ends up happening is people end up shutting down. They go, okay, I keep voting for this party or that party, and then things still don't get better. And then they shut down. And we have a culture that kind of celebrates cynicism. It's like people happily bandy about how bad things are, and then they don't take any actions whatsoever to try and improve it because that cynicism is self-defeating. Right. They write themselves out even before they're the author.
So what would you tell somebody that wants to see change, that wants to see, things happen?
I think the easiest way of viewing it is this is your country. There's lots of narratives out there that say it's like some identity or another, some tag, something that puts you in a box. Mm-hmm. And it's like sometimes people even use the box of it's like citizen or undocumented. They try to tear us all apart according to these categories. And really what it comes down to is you and your relationship to whether or not this is yours. This nation is yours. And what is this nation? It's the open space of being able to create what you think your descendants deserve to inherit. And this is only possible if you don't let people tell you it's not yours. This country is not something that's to be kept in a certain way. It is an unfoldment. It is a discovery. It is an act of creation. It is an act of your creation, not the action of saying it's not this, it's not this. It's I want a world where climate change is blunted and we're able to start taking ground to restore the climate. I want a future where anybody who puts food on the table in their life, where they take actions to engage in economic industry, have full and available access to being able to develop equity in homeownership. That sort of future is something that we can design. And folks will tell you that, oh, it's too big. No, it can't be done. I sit here as a historian telling you it has been done many times. And what it takes is to not buy into any of that bull out there where they tell you this is not yours and you can't. You do. You own this. This is yours. It is the canvas of your warmest desires fulfillment. Don't let anyone take the paintbrush out of your hands.
Beautiful, Andrew, because it's so easy to get caught up in the divisiveness. And it's so easy to get caught up in that because it's thrown at us so much. So that's really, really good. And we're going to end this on that note. And you guys, please reach out to Andrew if you have questions. If you're in Santa Clara County, California, whatever part of the Santa Clara County it is, because it's a very big county, right? You want to contribute and you want to be a part of a new way of being as far as government is concerned, a government that's transparent, a government office that is reaching out to the community, a government office that is interested in increasing the home ownership in the state of California, then reach out to Andrew, because I know for a fact that he will deliver on what he is saying. How do I know? Because we've gone through some of the same training and development that has stated that when we say something, that's what we mean. With that being said, you all, Andrew, thank you so much for taking time out to do this. Not expecting you to like lay it out the way that you did. And I'm really flattered and just like, wow, dude, like you were made for this position. You were. So with that being said, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.